ie. Tell us about the job Taoiseach Joan Burton has sorted out for former top union boss David Begg.
Yeah, David Begg, he's the former Secretary General of ICTU, the Irish Congress of Trade Unions. He retired last March, at which time Joan Burton paid tribute to him as a committed and relentlessly hard-working servant for the Labour movement in Ireland. And he already serves on positions such as a non-executive director of Aer Lingus. He's a member of the National Economic and Social Council, and he's a former director of the Central Bank. And yesterday it was announced by the government, rather quietly, that David Begg would be appointed to the board of the Pensions Authority on an annual salary of €20,510.
Is that as the chairman?
As a chairman, sorry, yes. So this was done without any acknowledgement towards the Public Appointment Service, which was set up last year, you may remember, in 2014, amidst the debacle over the appointment of John McNulty to the board of the Irish Museum of Modern Art. Instead, she employed a Regulation 914 of the legislation governing appointments to state boards, which says that a person who is evidently and objectively highly qualified for the position can be appointed to the position without any sort of reference to the Public Appointment Service.
Yeah. Shane Ross, independent TD, member of the Independent Alliance, isn't that the point, that somebody of such elevated stature as David Begg, that we're lucky to have him, and that the rules should be used where there are exceptions to get such a brilliant person into the position that he's gone into?
Not really, I don't think so. I think what's happened here yesterday, is that Joan Burton has completely and utterly torpedoed and ignored those regulations which she and others set up after the McNulty affair. You just have to remember the McNulty affair and the absolute tumult that it caused. There was the government appointing people to semi-state bodies for extremely dubious reasons.
Yeah, but who was McNulty? He had no knowledge of that particular sector. David Begg is regarded as one of the most respected trade union people in the country.
Oh, all right, but David Begg is a Labour Party supporter. These particular measures was set in stone to stop this type of thing happening, which was to appoint Labour Party supporters by Labour ministers, and deeply buried, and what Hugh was saying is right, deeply buried in this 10-page issue of the guidelines, new guidelines for the appointment of semi-state bodies, was a clause which was very little noticed by anybody, which said basically the minister can do what the hell they like if they want to. If they want to, they can bypass the procedures set up to put in independent people and put in their own people. And what's happened here is those procedures have been completely and utterly ignored and bypassed. And David Begg, a supporter of the Labour Party, a well-known trades unionist with a great deal of ability, has been appointed. Why couldn't he go through the same process as absolutely everybody else?
Is that process public? Because would it not have been a good idea perhaps to ask the man who's going to chair the pension board, to ask him about his time as a member of the board of the Central Bank during the boom of the last decade?
Correct. I mean, David Begg has a very proud history in various charities concerned and other things, which I think he's run extremely well. But he's also got a history. He was there at the time of he was there on the board of the Central Bank at the time of the collapse of the banks, and I think we need to ask him a large number of questions about that. He's got no known particular expertise in the area of pensions, and he's a very, very doubtful choice as head of the Pensions Board. He might be good at certain other things, but we've had no explanation whatsoever except a large amount of waffle, quite honestly, from Joan Burton. And when the statement came out, she said that they had to be very flexible. They had a great deal of flexibility on the appointment of the chair. By the way, they have the flexibility on the appointment of board members as well, which people don't seem to realise. But she went on to say Mr. Begg's appointment demonstrated ability to work with different perspectives, will prove invaluable in identifying strategic opportunities as well as developing solutions to complex challenges currently facing the pension sector. It's absolutely meaningless stuff. Basically, she say we're putting in an able guy, and she has herself described him as a supporter of the Labour Party in the past when he retired from ICTU.
Nobody from the Labour Party available to join us on the programme this evening, strangely enough. We looked for Joan Burton, she wasn't available, nobody else available. Although one of our colleagues, I believe, Ciara Conway, did go on another radio station earlier today and didn't quite sing off the same hymn sheet, Hugh.
Yeah, she was asked about it today on RT Radio. She was talking about, I think, Labour's childcare proposals, but she was asked about this because obviously it's developed into a bit of a controversy, and she's basically said, why are the rules in place if you're not going to abide by them? So she was effectively disagreeing with this decision by the Labour Party. I think that's more about Ciara Conway knowing that she's fighting for her life down in Waterford, and she perhaps has to
putting a bit of distance from her leader is a good idea politically.
Well, yeah, it's not a bad idea politically, particularly when politically this is massively stupid by the Labour Party.
Why? Why is it massive?
So soon out from an election, I think, this gives the impression that there is, as the opposition might call it, a golden circle of individuals who benefit from appointments to positions like this. And David Begg is here. He's got a number of other positions, and he's benefiting again from his close affiliation to the Labour Party and to the Labour movement by being appointed to this role as chairman of the Pensions Authority. And I just think that in terms of public perception, it's really bad from the Labour Party's point of view. And so soon out from an election, I can't get my head around why they would do it.
Shane Ross, is there also something absolutely brilliant about the way this legislation has been brought up? The yes minister type approach, where you have 10 pages of rules and regulations, and then in the small print you have the little get out clause that allows the minister to appoint whoever she or he wants.
It is absolutely outrageous piece of hypocrisy. And
why did you all miss it in the Dáil when they put through the legislation, Shane? Were you not looking closely enough?
Wait a minute, Matt. You will see an article that I wrote in the Sunday Independent, finding this. I went through it line by line, and I actually pointed this out I think it was about a year ago now, saying, hey, buried in there, which nobody noticed, and I missed it on the day it was published as well, buried in there is this extraordinary get-out clause, which they're now exploiting. And wait and see. In the next few weeks, we're going to see more and more of these kind of departure appointments, because this is what governments do.
David Begg hasn't taken up the appointment yet. Should we ask David Begg not to take up the appointment by this way, to put himself through the same procedure? Yeah. Should he actually do the honourable thing here and say, I won't take this position unless I go through exactly the same procedure as everyone else going onto a state board?
Well, he probably wouldn't get the job if he did that, so that would be very difficult for him to do. But he's up on the website, I noticed today, already is appointed. And you're going
he wasn't available to come on with us tonight because the appointment hasn't gone through.
Well, he's on the website as being the chairman, and I spoke to them this afternoon, and they said that he is their chairman at the moment.
It's changed since this morning, so.
But you're going to see more of this. Look, wait till we see the appointment of judges. They advertised for judges coincidentally. Last week, there were ads all over the newspapers, and wait and see. They'll be putting their favourites into the judiciary. You saw the police authority was appointed a few weeks ago.
But it's their turn, Shane. Isn't that what the thing is?
That's what they say. They say it's their turn. And it's absolutely unacceptable. But it goes on all the time with this kind of tweedledee-tweedledum politics.
All right, I have to leave it there. Shane Ross, Independent TD, a member of the Independent Alliance, and Hugh O'Connell, political editor at the Journal.ie. Thank you very much for joining us.